Alright, class. I'm going to create, even though the book doesn't really show it, 4.7 shows 4 legs on the chair. And we're just going to use some basic modeling tools that we've done already to create the rest of this armchair. Not just for the armchair, but think about if you look at the shape of the legs on figure 4-105, it looks like we can create them very similarly to how we did our lamp post, our light pole, where we extruded a rectangle and gave it a taper. It looks like that will be the easiest way to do this. So I'm going to start by coming back out here, get that out of the way, and I'm going to go from the top view. Wireframe, I don't want it to be well, let's do hidden line to give it a little less lines to look at. I'm going to rotate it a little bit so I'm looking at my armchair there. And I'm just going to start by modeling a shape. I'm going to do a circle. Looks like these legs are in circle shape. I'm going to put my circle approximately there. I'm going to do the large size first and go to the modify. I'm going to change it to armchair leg, and not interpolation, step 6 parameters. It's radius, I'll make it a 4-inch radius on top. Looks about right. Maybe 3 might be a little better. So I'm going to find that approximate location of where I want it to be, and now I am going to select my modifier. So you can adjust this however you see fit at this point. I'm going to modify, and we're going to go to extrude, and I'm actually going to fly it back out to the other views so we can see it as it happens. So the amount. So with the light post, remember we did 15 feet. Well, on this one I want the extrude to go down, so I'm going to go -1 foot. So now my extrusion has gone downward. And now segments, I'm going to leave it at 1. Don't need to change that. But we need to add this additional taper extrusion or modifier to it. So with extrude still selected, I'm going to go to modify and taper. And I'm going to taper my amount by 67% or 0.67. It should go from 3 inches to roughly 1 inch. I'm going to hit enter, and there's my taper right there. Now it looks like mine's a little fatter at the top than the book, but I'm okay with that. If I wanted to change that, I could come up to extrude here, actually click on the circle itself, change that to be 2 inches, and it adjusts it as well. It's still, but now if you'll notice, if I go to taper 0.67, it went from 2 inches. It still wanted to shrink it down to a certain size. I'm going to change that now to 0.5 to make it a little bit 2 at the top, 1 inch at the bottom. So now that I've got my legs, at least for the front, I'm going to use these different views to move them into place. I'm going to expand my left view, and I'm going to move these into place. I've got select and move highlighted. Make sure if I want to move it in a straight direction, I highlight and click on the axis themselves. So I'm going to click on the X and move it over. Now I'm going to fly back out and take a look at my front here. It is too low, so I'm going to bring that up a little bit. And if it goes inside, that's okay, because we're not looking for them to mesh perfectly well. It's because they're all hollow pieces anyways. So if we were to come back out to the perspective view and look at it this way, it's still not where it needs to be. it's still too low compared to the cushion, the bottom of the chair itself. Let's fly out this one, and you'll see what I mean when I do that. I want to try to get it to move in roughly on this area. So do you remember with the bolts? We can try that on this one. I'm going to select this object. I'm going to select the circle itself, and I'm going to select and place, and I'm going to move this there. Now look what happened. It inverted itself. Undo that. It's back there. So let's right click this, pillow mode. I'm going to move that again. It still wants to invert itself. Undo that. Right click. Object up axis. Let's switch some of these around. In fact, I'm not going to do the select and place this time. I'm just simply going to move, and I'm going to adjust that as we see here. Oh, selected the wrong thing. Don't want to select that object, just this object. I'll move this piece now to get it to where I want it to be. In fact, this is orthographic. This should be top. I'm going to switch it to bottom, and I can see that piece there. I want it to be right here, roughly, where the corner of it's going to be there. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I always appreciate the extra care when it comes to creating this stuff. So now, if we go back down to this view, it looks pretty good. It's not quite high enough, so I'm going to take it and move the up a little bit. And there we go. I'm satisfied with the way that looks there. So now from this view, I'm going to select this. I have my select and move. I'm going to hold shift and drag it on the green and bring it over and across. I just said OK because I don't care what it calls it. It's just armchair leg 001. If you wanted to change the armchair leg, you could change it armchair leg front left, armchair leg front right, or so on. To me, that does not matter. And now I'm going to hit Control and select both of them and hold shift down and move that backwards. Now this one is going to be a little bit different because we want these back legs to be up higher. Otherwise, if it's too close, it's going to be too easy to tip over. So we're going to have to extend these up a little bit. So I'm going to select this, select the circle, and on the parameters, select and move. I'm going to actually now go back to modeling, polygon modeling, and select polygon. It selected that polygon. Edit polygon. I'm just trying a few things out here. See what we end up with. Take that Z, move it up into there, and now escape back out of it. What did we just do to that? Did anything happen? Well, it pretty much changed nothing and made my circle disappear. move that up just a little bit, and then do uncheck the polygon, go back down to my circle. Modifier exists in the stack that depends on the topology. Changing the parameters may have undesirable effects. You sure you want to continue? I'll say yes. Let's see what this undesirable effect is. It didn't do anything. So I'm just going to undo to where I was at. And adjust some other objects here instead. What I can do now instead of that, let's just change our extrude from -1 foot to -2 feet. And now on our XYZ at the bottom, let's change our Z to 14 inches. A little too much. But if we look at it, now the sizes are the same, so I'm going to change my extrude height back down to, let's say, -1 foot 6 inch. It looks good, but it's just not oh, I did the wrong thing here. It went up too high again. I need to change this to 14 inches minus 6 inches is 8 inches. Now it's back down to normal. Let's look at it underneath. I'd say that looks pretty good, but not quite good enough for me. I'm going to take that up 1 notch now for the extrude to be -1 foot 7. And this to be 9 inches. There, that looks like it's smooth. It forms right into that backing there. And now I can do the same thing for this one. I could copy it over, but I like its placement already, so I'm going to just change the extrusion to match what I've got. -1 foot 7, enter, and 9 inches, enter. Those are both even now, and my legs are complete for my chair. My armchair. Save your file and turn it in to get your full extra credit. I will see you in a little bit as I work on chapter 5.